Or the computer? Okay.
Okay. All right. I think we're good.
Emma, so good to see you. Haven't seen you in forever. How you doing?
Hello, I have survived. I'm glad to see y'all.
Okay, well, we'll jump into it. So once again, I'm Mr. Kendall, Miss Hutchison. We're next to each other. And thank you for joining us this evening. Fair amount of stuff to share, but honestly, it should be a short message because any questions that you have for me, I probably won't be able to answer. And so we'll end up doing a form and then, fill that out and then we'll get back to you with a lot of stuff. I mean, we're gonna be able to provide the main rundown of all the most important things. But if you have a particular question, then it's entirely possible that we'll have to get back to you on it. We thought it was really important though, to finally initiate this. I know that compared to previous trips that we have been on, the folks who signed up for this trip, you don't necessarily have that context, but there has been at times less communication. And the simple reason is we haven't had answers for things. We're waiting and we're all in this kind of, purgatory of what's going to happen next. And the kind of long and short of this meeting is that unfortunately, Vietnam is not going to be able to happen. I think many on the call already know that because I had candid conversations with students. That obviously is a huge bummer for us because Vietnam is a place that I have just been dying to return to. It's quite possible we'll do that, but it won't be able to be with student travel. The reasons that Education First cannot take us and have us all go to Vietnam is opening, but Asia is significantly behind other parts of the world simply as far as continuing to increase their as far as opening up with COVID restrictions. So if we were in Vietnam right now, or if we were to go to Vietnam, we don't have assurances that like all of our tours would be able to operate. The reality is that with such a large group, especially, we need all of these individual vendors from the folks who we were going to, cook pho noodles with and go fishing with and go on it. Like all these things are completely dependent upon individual vendors as well as governmental policy. If somebody was to get sick with COVID, it can delay everything and just was going to present a lot of complications. Ultimately, this decision, though, wasn't made by us. It was made by Education First, who put the kibosh and said Vietnam for June, July, and I think August is just not going to be doable for any tours. And it's actually all of Asia. So Thailand, Cambodia, Laos, as well as Japan, which was kind of our other, like, we still want to go to Asia, maybe we could do Japan, and none of those were going to be possible. So huge bummer, of course, and we've been promoting the trip for 3 years. I mean, we have put together these different materials and we've had all of these meetings, and like, obviously we very much wanted to go to Vietnam. However, our number one passion is travel. Like, that's why we do it. That's why we're excited about it. That's why we want students to come and experience this with us and us with them. So then we started looking at, Ms. Hutchison and I started looking at, okay, well, where else in the globe could we go? And we pretty quickly settled on Europe after conversations with Education First because, and our representative, Kylie, because it's simply at this stage the most organized and structurally and logistically able to have travelers. And so it just makes the most sense for us to go to Europe. And then it was, okay, well, where should we go? We really thought that we were going to do London and France, to the point where Ms. Hutchison and I, as a Valentine's Day gift, we actually buy books for one another, and we will wrap the book in a paper so you don't know what the cover is. And it's our cute, stupid, silly, like nerdy tradition. The reason I share that is we got books on like France and like Napoleon, and we were like, we're going to be able to go there. And that also has proven we could do it, but to do so would raise the price for some of our travelers up to about 400 or 500. It's actually $500. It was $493. And even though we were excited about that, that just felt like families are going to cancel with very much have reason to do so. And ultimately, we don't want any family to not travel with us this June. We've been talking about this trip for so long. We've got this huge crew. We're absolutely thrilled to go travel. So many of the students who are traveling are going to be graduating as well, and we just want to keep this, as a group. So the trip that ended up making the most sense and still being super exciting is, and I'm going to send the link in the actual file here. Sorry, our cats are freaking out. I only have Zooms now with our EF tours, which means I haven't been on a Zoom call for like 3 months, which is awesome. But I'm a little clunky with it. So I've sent the link in the chat, but we are going to be going to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And among the things that we are going to be doing, we are going to have a fondue evening, which sounds amazing. We're going to have a Swiss Alps experience, which means we're going to be riding on, it's like a boat in a river in Switzerland. And then we're going to go up a mountain. I mean, it sounds great. And then we're also going to be doing the thing that students had the biggest positive response to when talking about it in class, which is we're going to be.
He was saying we shouldn't do it, by the way, but.
Ms. Hutchison was the one who insisted that we do it. We're going to be doing waltz dancing lessons. Viennese Austrian waltz lessons.
2.5 hours.
In Austria. So everybody can already pick their partners. I know that Jackson and Sam, well, Jackson requested that Sam dance with him, but Sam said, maybe not. So all the same, it's going to be an awesome trip. We're thrilled. A few things about it, though, of course. Again, our number one hope is just that everybody travels with us and that we all get to keep our group together. And it's entirely possible we'll add a couple travelers, although that's a big ask for families this close to the actual departure. So the cost of the trip is now $4,255. The way that plays out for, of course, I called them out. It was amazing. And so the way that plays out for families is that some families are not going to be paying any additional cost. Kind of perversely, that's the families that signed up latest. So if you waited quite a while to register for this tour to Vietnam, then it means that you are paying more than the families who registered like 2 years ago. And the reason simply being EF as a for-profit company raises the price the closer they get to departure, because that makes sense for them financially. Now, because the trip is Europe, it's a completely different, situation. They were able to come in on this price of $4,255. For families that purchased early, some of you spent on the Vietnam trip, you have already paid $3,750. When we originally presented the Vietnam tour, it was $3,750, which means that there's a shortfall of $500. Education First is going to cover $300 of that. I'm not a math teacher. If I confuse you, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. But there's a difference of $500 between the price of our Vietnam tour and the price of this now Europe tour. And that price makes total sense if you think about it. They have to, for one thing, it's just that we're booking it later. The fact that it's Europe and not Asia, and everything in Europe is way more expensive than it is in Asia. We're going to palaces. We are not going to temples and Wats. I was very excited about all that, but going to a Buddhist temple and monastery is much cheaper than it is going to the Viennese temple that I just looked up called Schönbrunn Palace, which is this amazing palace that I had personally never heard of, and it looks awesome. So the trip is more expensive. The result of all that math is that some families who booked early are going to have to pay to continue to travel with us an additional $200. And I am sorry to add anything to it. All these families, you've been so patient. You've been so willing to stick with us despite all the COVID stuff. But there wasn't a way to make it so that there wasn't still some kind of a price increase. I originally thought that we might even be able to go the other way. And maybe that will prove to be the case for some families. you will see the price change within probably this weekend, I think, is when Kylie is going to shift everybody who's on the tour. If you were to log into your EF account here in a few days, it won't say Vietnam, it'll say Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And it will also give a new balance due. So if you still owe $1,000 because you're paying about $330 a month, then that price will probably go up to about $400 a month for the upcoming 3 months. It's going to be different for everyone. So we very much apologize for that. We really hope. So I had a question about if the price is more or less. The most that anybody should have to pay additional is $200. Nobody, unfortunately, is going to get money back, it appears. So there will be a price increase of $200 for some. For those that booked later, it actually is going to be close to the same, I believe. Okay, so that's kind of the explanation for, yeah, next question, dates. Very good, thank you, Truly. The date change it's non-existent. So on the actual website, it might, when you log into your EF account, it might say that the earliest departure date, and I have a slideshow here that I'll go through in a moment with all of this stuff. It says earliest departure date, I think of June 21st. Our EF representative understands that we're still in school, or at least we could be. We probably won't have snow days, but we could. So June 25th is still the departure date. Our group size is so large that they can just do that and basically promise that to us, that your date's not going to change. And that's really important because I know that for one thing, we have school on one side, and on the other side, families have activities. They've got everything from, you know, students who are doing summer sports and athletics to are going to be traveling elsewhere. And so the date should stay the same. The most anybody should see a price increase is of $200 overall. We do not need visas. Visas are not going to be required for anywhere that we go, which saves a little bit of money there. A couple other benefits: the travel day is actually less because our total time in transit will be less, and we have more time in destination. Not by a lot, but the first day that we get in is always pretty brutal. And when we arrive in Germany, that will be, oh, hi, Max. That will be less of a severe turnaround for us. So we're going to have a little bit more time in destination. Also, quite frankly, we're seeing 3 countries instead of 1. And as thrilled as I am to return to Vietnam at some point, it's pretty cool to get to check off, you know, 3 different countries, which is exciting. Ultimately, there's no bad options when talking to students about it and kind of getting a vibe and saying, hey, do you think your parents would still be comfortable with this? How do you feel about this? Is your enthusiasm still high? You know, really, we're talking about pretty awesome stuff. And you know, and that's really cool. So our number one hope is that everybody sticks with the tour, sticks with us. And we kind of just want to reemphasize a couple things in that regard. So for why it is in the first place that you even chose to travel as a group. So I'm going to need just one moment, but I'm going to pull up the kind of EF provided PowerPoints. They've got like a video and stuff. I'm not going to provide, or we're not going to watch that. You can if you want. They're on the website as well. But we'll look through some of the like actual logistics and stuff. So give me just one moment. And Miss Hutchison is going to send out, though, a form, which you could start filling out if you wish. And that form asks for contact information. It also asks if you want to do a Sound of Music bratwurst get together, because I have kind of held off on all of us getting together because of just, are we going to be able to travel? What's that going to look like? And so we want to actually have that happen here in March. And God willing, we might not even have mask mandates, which make it all the better. So we're going to organize that for March. And so there's a question on there if you could fill that out. So the Google form that's in the chat right now, we really, please fill that out for us. That's really going to help us out. And then also I created a Remind group just a moment ago. It's called Brats and Fondue in 2022. And it's just, and so, yeah, it's just, you know, where does it come from? And so if you could also join that, then that would be great so that we can better kind of communicate. So those are things normally we would have done earlier in a normal tour, in a normal situation. And we just kind of held off on that. The Remind information is at the bottom of the file of the Google form that Hutch just sent out. Okay, I'm going to pull up the
Did I lose sound?
I think you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, I knew I was muted. We were figuring out some tech here. How to Zoom again. So I'm going to screen share. Sorry if it's a bit clunky here. Okay. Can I get a thumbs up? Can everybody see? Does it say at the top destination change PowerPoint 1? And is that I'm at the right thing? Okay. Here's your crew. Oh, full screen. Like a presentation. Sorry. No,
Go to slide.
I don't use PowerPoint.
You are now.
All right. Like who uses PowerPoint? It's Google Slides or nothing, but they gave us a PowerPoint. There's a lot of text on here. I am not going to go through everything because for the vast majority of you, hopefully it's just a reminder. I'm just going to highlight some of the big stuff. And then I will send out this slideshow in an email as an attachment, and you can look at it as well as if you want. Words. Okay, that's Mr. Pinio over here on the left. Sorry, Mr. Pinio. You could also wave right now if you want. I don't know if everybody can see him, but let's see here. This is Miss Post. Miss Post was not able to make it. Miss Post teaches elementary education in what district is it?
Highline.
In Highline School District. She used to work at Peninsula High School. That's how we met her. She's been on a previous Zoom call. This dude in the middle who's like occupying the whole screen. This is Mr. Graham Schmidt. And Graham, do you want to introduce yourself real quick? Because you are the addition, because we unfortunately, Mr. Arnell, who is Jessica's fiance, they're still engaged, but he is not able to come on the trip. And so we met with Graham here recently, and Graham is going into education and has traveled with us before. So anyways, Graham, if you want to share real quick.
Hi, I'm Graham. I graduated Peninsula in 2019. And since I've been going to school in Valley City, North Dakota, and I'm pursuing an elementary education and special education degree. I like traveling. Kendall and Hutch are awesome. They invited me to come with, and I'm very responsible as well. I'm excited to travel.
He is. We can attest to that, and we're super stoked to have him. So thank you, Graham. He's going to be our sixth chaperone.
Oh,
There's 6 of us, right?
no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Sorry, not a math teacher. So awesome. Yeah, and especially with Graham going into education. And Graham, when do you begin your student teaching?
It'll be in a year, so next spring.
Okay, cool. So we're really excited to have Graham with us, especially being somebody who's going into education. Some of you might know his brother, who's a senior right now, big Boise State commitment, Hall Schmidt. So awesome. Thank you, Graham. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff on here about where EF is still going. Here's our actual trip. If you haven't yet followed the link that I sent in the chat. So we are going to be flying into Vienna. We go to Salzburg, we go to Munich for 2 nights, Tyrol, Vaduz, I'm sure I'm saying it wrong, Vaduz, Lucerne. How do you say the castle, the beautiful castle?
It's the Sleeping Beauty.
It's the Sleeping Beauty castle, that's all we need to say. And then Frankfurt. It's good that we're leaving from Frankfurt. Each time I've been in Frankfurt Frankfurt, it has not been anything to write home about, but it's a very like industrial, kind of city. But the highlights really are Vienna, Munich, our time in Switzerland, especially Lucerne. Like it's going to be awesome. The Sleeping Beauty Castle is iconic, and so we're pretty stoked on everything it's going to include. We've got some like images here. I genuinely had to look up some of the places because I'm like I said, the Schönbrunn Palace, new for me. But it all looks beautiful. We have things like schnitzel dinners. Like I said, we're going to be doing the fondue, which I don't think is included on the slideshow, but it's a fondue dinner, the waltzing, the Alps situation. It's going to be gorgeous. That's the castle, the Neuschwanstein. My mother was born in Germany, but that doesn't mean I know how to speak it at all. There's our royalty castle. We also are going to go to the Olympic Stadium in Germany, in Munich. See everything that Switzerland has to offer. Ticket like royalty. The dates here, so officially, we've got it as June 24th being the earliest departure to July 8th. I anticipate that it's going to be June 25th to July 4th. Those were the days that we were given.
The question is the travel between countries.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's a bus. Yeah, because I know there's a 3-hour bus ride that takes us through like the most beautiful part of Austria, which, it's all.
It'll be all of us on one coach, likely.
Yes, so that's the other thing is that because of our tour size, we should all be on one coach. We shouldn't be splitting it with any, nefarious, anybody else. And EF, along with that $300 coverage for additional fees, making it so that we're not paying $500, but the most anybody additional pays is hopefully $200. They also have waived like the weekend fee, because normally if you travel on a Saturday, it's $35 more, just because of booking flights on Saturday is more. They've also booked that. Doesn't seem like much, but of course that's thousands of dollars when we spread it out over our 35 members. So that's cool. Here's the biggest one. I don't think it's going to be a stickler for most, considering the conversations I've had, but I understand it could be for some. A vaccination is going to be required. That's going to just be required in order to travel to Europe. So EF now is going to be asking it. Here's what they say: a COVID-19 vaccine is required for all travelers. Hotel, shops, restaurants, and sites may require proof of full vaccination. So whether or not you're somebody who goes to Seattle frequently, King County, like many places in Europe, requires that you demonstrate proof of vaccination. There's things like an app that we'll be able to use in Germany, most likely, that'll expedite that process, but just vaccination is required. The sort of question you might have that I'm not sure of is, is it the 2 shots and then the booster? Do you have to be boosted and all that? And that I can't exactly tell you. Oh, okay, yeah. So I can get some more information on like that, because I'm sure that you'll want to know about the timeline and how to attend to all that. So if you could, in the form, write that same question, because there's a spot for questions at the bottom of the Google form that we shared, then I can take accounting of that, because I'm sure that we're going to have a ton. It's possible that we're going to be required to demonstrate proof of a negative test. Don't worry about that right now. The only thing that's like for sure would be the vaccinations.
We'll just steal some from the school.
Yeah, we got tests at the school. The Safe Traveler Agreement.
You can send that link out.
Yeah, I'll send that link out to you. These are kind of things that we've already, like when we originally pitched the trip and talked all about its benefits, things like their commitment to traveler health and the on-tour experience. I guess I would say one of the great things here, though, is, for one thing, the hotels. They're all American standard, so we're going to be staying in safe hotels that are quality. The fact that on tour, they really do take care of us. We've had tremendously positive experiences, even when things have gone a little sideways, which is still important to remember. I know that if you choose to travel on your own, which we highly encourage, at any point, but the benefit of traveling in a group is that they can tackle a lot of those things as a company, especially in Europe. Also, we'll have a dedicated motor coach, a dedicated tour guide, and that tour guide will be bilingual or trilingual, depending on,
I think they speak German in every one of those countries. So
Oh yeah. Well, Swiss. Swiss is its own language, right?
It's Swiss German.
Swiss German.
Yeah. Or French or Italian.
Yeah. Same. Uh, thank you also for joining the bratwurst and fondue in 2022. I'm getting a lot of notifications, so we appreciate that.
Change our wedding hashtag to that.
And other things, yeah, you'll have to, we'll have to wear masks, which hopefully maybe even that'll expire. But it's quite possible. If a traveler is diagnosed with COVID-19 on tour, they'll be required to isolate. That's another thing where like, let's not worry about that right now in my mind, because Europe, it's just they're better able to handle all those things. And those countries are more flexible, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. Again, I'll send this out if you want to read more details on that. You have to have a passport. So we've got a question on the form as well. Do you have your passport? And also, does it expire 6 months after we return? In other words, Ms. Hutchison put a date on there of like, does it expire before the end of 2022? January of 2023. So just kind of look at that, because you would need to renew your passport if it's going to expire in, say, August of this year. You need to have 6 months leeway there. I almost didn't get into Iceland once because of that exact problem, but I schmoozed my way in. There's also rooming upgrades and stuff. Honestly, I think this is more for like a future meeting, which we definitely will have. Here's the last thing. If there's anybody on this call or anybody who watches the recording later and does decide, hey, it's just not for me, and we're going to hold off, there are a couple options. First off, you can receive a refund for the total amount spent thus far, minus $500. So that's their policy, as I understand it, which is to say that if you I decide it's not for you, you're really set on Southeast Asia, and we would totally understand that, and you're not interested in going to these new locations, then they will refund you the total amount minus $500. The other option, if you also don't want to go to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland, though we hope that you do, is that you can get a travel voucher. And that travel voucher can be used on a future tour. We are a little on the fence about what next year would look like. We'll probably make up our minds here within a week over midwinter break of if we're going to promote a trip for next year. We're leaning towards yes. We're leaning towards either London and France or maybe Japan, which are pretty different. But we're still looking at that. So if you're like, I don't want to travel right now, this isn't what I signed up for, and you instead wish to get a travel voucher, you can apply that towards another trip. So I think that's the bulk of it. And they've got it all spelled out here in better language. I really don't want to keep folks too long, because I think based on what I've heard from a couple parents I spoke to impromptu at Knowledge Bowl, as well as students, and just kind of that feedback, I'm pretty sure that everybody, or most everybody, is going to stick with us. And we're really excited about that.
It's 2023, so we'll go to Japan.
Oh, French classes are doing that? Oh, okay. Yeah, then we'll go to Japan. Life's so hard. These are just really tough decisions. And so, yeah, so we're thrilled to do all that. What we'd really ask tonight, first off, if you've got like a pressing question, and I do really want to encourage, if anybody is, vaccine hesitant and like that's really a sticking point, please chat with us. We get that, but we really would want to have a conversation with you. I almost beg you that we chat. And then beyond that, if you just have anything pressing that you want an answer to tonight, by all means. Otherwise, please fill out that form. And I'd say by this weekend, we'll be able to, certainly by Monday or Tuesday of next week, which is our midwinter break, I'll be able to send out an organized email with bullet pointed answers to any of your questions. We will host another Zoom meeting, and then we will also in March be doing the bratwurst get together for anybody that wants to do that. So there's a lot more upcoming. We've changed the trip. We're all set in that regard, and we hope everybody still chooses to travel with us. Oh, Devin, you've got a raised hand.
Hey,
Okay, sorry, I don't remember if you guys answered this or not, or you said you didn't know, but does the vaccination requirement include the booster? Do we know
Um,
that?
I'm pretty sure that it's gonna be asked, but that's just, I'm not positive. And so I'll find out. And if you want to
Okay.
put that on a little form, then we'll get like a hard and fast
She already
answer.
filled it out, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. And so, yeah, we'll get a hard and fast answer because also those dates matter, obviously like how soon after you get it and everything. So we'll speak to our representative and make sure you're all set there.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And this is, I guess, a good Q&A. So if anybody else has, questions or anything,
You could cut the recording.
and yeah, I'll stop the recording and I'm going to stop sharing.